You're the head of Altimeter Capital. You're a big tech investment firm. You've got top holdings that include NVIDIA, Amazon, Alphabet, OpenAI, Microsoft, lots of others. So let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the tech economy, in the broader economy, and where things are headed, because there's been a lot more volatility lately.
Yeah, I happen to think that volatility is good, and let me tell you why. Yeah. We're coming up on the third anniversary of ChatGPT. We've come a long way fast. You've seen NVIDIA add almost $200 billion of revenue in the last 3 years. Truly extraordinary. Transformational phase shift, super cycle going on in our economy. It added 100 basis points to GDP this year. But remember, this year we had two 25% drawdowns in NVIDIA. It hit $90 earlier in the year on the DeepSeek scare, right? And so there's going to be volatility when you're early in these phase shifts, right? That wall of worry prevents the bubble that everybody's worried about. And when you look at the multiples today, take NVIDIA, for example. I think it's trading at 23, 24 times fully taxed earnings on next year's numbers, 18 times on 27 numbers. That is not the stuff that bubbles are made of. Right, I think the rest of the Mag 7 all trades somewhere between 25 and 30 times. Maybe Meta's at 21 times earnings. So to me, taking a little of the gas out, having some of these conversations and debate, very healthy. And what I see out there right now is a tremendous amount of progress on the model side. But I think the diffusion, the rate at which this transforms lives, both consumer lives and enterprise, that takes time. And that's what we're seeing play out. We're seeing the debates about NVIDIA versus Broadcom, Google versus OpenAI.
Well, yes, and that's what I was going to get to. Is the new version of Gemini better than ChatGPT?
It's terrific. It's terrific. Remember, a year ago, we were counting, Google out of the equation. I've said on Twitter and otherwise, we own Google. Yeah. I've said it's very difficult to pick a winner here, so you can own them all. You can own OpenAI and Anthropic. You can own Google and Microsoft. And I think at this phase, you probably should do that. I think Google's done an incredible job. Remember a year ago, Satya was saying, we're making Google dance. Mm-hmm. I think Sundar is making people do a little dancing today. Yeah. And so that's part of the competitive dynamic that I think is great for the country. It's what's going to keep us on the leading edge.
That's great for the technology spending. There are a lot of questions about what this means for the business world, too, for enterprise. Yesterday, Jensen Huang was on Squawk on the Street with Jim Cramer, talking a little bit about that deal that they did with Synopsys. And that was pretty interesting to hear how it's got to be able to be used by these big industrial companies to be able to really make the next steps. Right. And Jensen made the point that I thought was really interesting, that 90% accuracy is okay if you're dealing with consumers. It is not okay if you're in any of these big enterprise issues.
That's right. That's right. Think about it this way. The machine that builds the machine, right? That's really what he's talking about. We saw that with Tesla and Elon, right? Elon used to talk about we can't get to where we need to get to with electric cars until we first build the machine. Right, a totally new way to manufacture cars that can drive down the cost. And that's what you see Jensen talking about, for example, in the design of chips, right? That you really imbue the entire industrial economy with AI. And all of those benefits lie before us. I think we're heading into a very significant productivity boom. I've talked about the golden age of margin expansion for a lot of industrial and other companies in America that can simply do more with less. Our economy is going to see that productivity tailwind. But it's never a straight line up and to the right, Becky. And so I think for people who are watching it, you've got to anticipate we're going to have volatility. I remember early in the internet supercycle, Google would be up 5 or 10% a day. Remember when Facebook went public? Right, and then it broke $20 a share. Right, it broke issuance because everybody was worried, could they possibly monetize on these mobile devices? When you're early in these super cycles, there's a lot of questions, and that's where we are today.
You're talking about the winners that came out of that. There was a lot of volatility in Pets.com, too.
For sure.
Webvan, and by the way, those companies went bust.
And there are going to be companies in this cycle that go bust. Yeah. There are 1,000 companies in Silicon Valley valued over $1 billion that are trying to raise money. It's not going to be equally easy for all of them, right? But I think that's part of the process of creative destruction, right? It's okay that that some companies aren't going to make it.
We talked earlier this morning about some comments from Masa-san, who said that he didn't want to sell his entire NVIDIA stake, but he had to in order to be able to put it into OpenAI. You've got bets on both of those companies.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I wish my bet in OpenAI was as big as Masa's, but
would you sacrifice your NVIDIA bet for it?
No, like I said, NVIDIA has been an extraordinary winner. We invested in NVIDIA in December of 22, right after we saw ChatGPT. The stock's up over 10 times, 10x over that period of time, as the revenue went from roughly $30 billion a year to over $200 billion a year. And they just told us that we should expect a run rate by the end of next year of $100 billion. And this is at the same time that Broadcom is doing extraordinarily well. What Hock Tan has done partnering with Google to build out TPU 7 is extraordinary. That's going to force NVIDIA to be even better. So I think we've seen a lot of winners, and you can see from the logos that Altimeter owns, our choice has been really to own a lot of the best names that are benefiting from this super cycle.
We also have talked a lot about Bitcoin this morning and the volatility you've seen there. Maybe volatility is not a surprise, but when you layer on leverage on top of that, as Strategy has done, does raise a lot of questions. Do you play in leverage in your holdings?
No, we run very, very limited. As a hedge fund, we run very limited leverage. We certainly would not be levered Bitcoin. And in fact, I've commented on Twitter about it with respect to MicroStrategy. It works incredibly well on the way up. But I said I didn't understand the strategy. And when I can't understand something that somebody explains, time after time after time, that's a warning sign to me. And I think you're seeing kind of some of the unlevering that is occurring. Bitcoin this year is down 10%. Gold is up 50 or 60%. I hope we can dispel the myth, right? One is a risk asset and one is not, right? And so it doesn't mean that you shouldn't own Bitcoin. I own some Bitcoin, and I might be buying a little bit more, as it comes down. But it is a speculative asset that over time will have more and more utility. But we have to be honest with what it is today.
It will have more utility. Will it have more store of value features than you just discounted?
It's a great question, Joe. I think as it has more utility, as it's used more in the financial system, as it becomes a part of more and more endowments and sovereign wealth funds, right, that in and of itself becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The philosophical thesis of why it should hold value because of the 21 million and
right.
because of the unbanked that are living in countries with 20% inflation. They work, their ass off, and they put it in a bank, and it's worth half as much in a year. They put it in Bitcoin, it stays stable. Why isn't that working right now to hold prices higher?
Well, I mean, I think that what you've seen over the course of last year is a speculative rush into Bitcoin as we got the Genius Act, the Clarity. Yeah. Yes, again, of course, it's reset. I don't think, I think these are more likely approaching buying opportunities than selling opportunities. I do.
That's saying something at 87,000, because I saw someone earlier say that it could go to 60, and that sounds almost like the end of the world. But I mean, Bitcoin was $3,000 a couple of years ago.
I will stipulate this: it's all possible. It is a risk asset. You should treat it appropriately in your portfolio, because if MicroStrategy is forced to delever, if there's an unwind there, it could get really messy in the short run, which is probably why I would be waiting to see how this plays out.
But it doesn't go to zero, does it?
No.
Okay,
I mean, I think the black swan, right, is that somebody hacks, crypto, whether it's quantum or otherwise. There was some news out overnight about, Anthropic running some vulnerability tests on the blockchain. Those things, I think, will be important if this is to have durability.